After finishing a training session with Prince Cheon, Siab Meng darted across the walls with agile movements. At a distance, Li Hua stood with the lead guardian, Manhwarecap. Observing the moment, Li Hua commented that it was a relief Siab Meng was finally leaving. Manhwarecap acknowledged that he had done well pretending not to recognize Siab Meng. Li Hua questioned how could he go against his superior's orders but admitted feeling relieved that he no longer needed to keep track of Siab Meng's constant movements in and out of his hiding place. He proposed reassigning the guards to the second-floor hallway since they had now had enough rest. Manhwarecap agreed and mentioned he would be departing. When Li Hua asked why he still seemed concerned about the seventh prince, Manhwarecap replied that it was only fair. Li Hua then rhetorically asked if Manhwarecap believed there was a single finger that didn't hurt when all 10 were bitten. Before disappearing, Manhwarecap warned Li Hua not to question the heavens. Li Hua remarked that it was typical of the Wind King to vanish unpredictably. He could disappear in an instant, and if he chose to run, no one would be able to catch him. He then questioned whether 10 days would truly be enough to set things right. Meanwhile, Dr. Zhang noticed that Prince Cheon, who was usually awake when he arrived, was still sleeping. He found it unusual and commented to himself that this might be the last time the boy would sleep peacefully. Once discharged, he would face great hardship. He gently encouraged him to sleep a little longer and left the room quietly. Soon after, the Nano Machine issued a notification. It reported a significant change in the user's muscle structure related to mastering the butterfly technique. The simulation of the starting expression had reached 80% of the data goal. Additionally, changes to his veins were at 75% completion, with 1 hour remaining until full adaptation. An hour later, Dr. Zhang, who had dozed off at the table, awoke to the sound of retching. He rushed over to find Prince Cheon vomiting. Placing a hand on the Prince Cheon's forehead, he was alarmed by the trembling and asked if he was feeling ill. He advised Prince Cheon to let it all out and helped him lie on the bed, noticing that the symptoms seemed to subside slightly. Checking his pulse, Dr. Zhang was stunned. Despite lying down the whole time, Prince Cheon's pulse felt like that of someone whose body had been pushed to the brink. At that moment, the Nano Machine reported that the body's response had stabilized following the internal evaluation. Suddenly, Cheon screamed in pain. Confused and worried, Dr. Zhang observed that his condition had gone from stable to volatile in seconds, something he never heard from his teacher. Unsure of what to do, he shrugged and decided to leave the boy to rest, assuming he'd wake up by lunchtime and eat. Some time later, Cheon woke up and examined himself. He was astonished by how much stronger his hands felt compared to just 6 hours earlier. He thought about the rigorous training he had undergone with multiple teachers in the past, and how unimaginable it would be to gain this strength in just 6 hours. If Siab Meng finds out, he would be stunned. A flashback followed. Siab Meng was demonstrating blade techniques to Cheon, who was impressed by the sheer pressure generated through the starting expression even without using internal energy. He asked the Nano Machine whether the scan was complete, and it confirmed successful data acquisition. Siab Meng asked if he had been watching attentively. Cheon confirmed he had. Then Siab Meng said it was unfortunate he couldn't properly teach all of the starting expressions, but he believed that Prince Cheon could master the butterfly technique just by observing him. Cheon thanked him for everything, and Siab Meng encouraged him to continue. Cheon promised he would. Siab Meng says once Prince Cheon returns to the Motto House it wouldn't be easy. Before leaving, Siab Meng urged him not to give up. After he departed, Cheon reflected that there was at least one person who genuinely cared for him. He resolved to meet his expectations and asked the Nano Machine if it had finished analyzing the scan movements. The Nano Machine confirmed completion and stated that to perform the technique, his muscles and veins would need to be significantly altered, an operation requiring 6 hours. He wondered why it would take that long. The scene then shifted back to the present, where Prince Cheon began training again. He thought it was impressive that he had used only one starting expression, yet the same as his masters. Now, he had 2 expressions. Suddenly, he sensed someone walking in the hallway and paused. He questioned whether his senses had always been this sharp or whether they had improved due to his changing body. He told himself that all preparations were now complete. At that moment, Dr. Zhang entered the room while brushing his teeth. He asked when Prince Cheon had woken up and what he meant by complete. Cheon replied that he was ready to be discharged. Realizing the presence he had sensed earlier was just Dr. Zhang, he began putting on his uniform. Dr. Zhang remarked that there were no other patients and asked what he was going to do once Prince Cheon leaves. Cheon confidently replied that more patients would come. The doctor expressed doubt, saying it would be better if there were none at all. Cheon thanked him for everything and admitted he had been a burden. Dr. Zhang reassured him it was no trouble, wished him well, and said he would pray for him. After Prince Cheon left, the doctor sat alone, reflecting that he now had nothing to do. He considered whether he should just take a nap. Outside the room, Cheon paused, thinking back to how the doctor may have pretended not to know about his martial arts training with Xiao Meng. It must have been awkward for the doctor the entire time. He rested his head gently against the door, feeling deeply grateful for the Dr. Zhang's kindness. He vowed never to forget the consideration shown to him and resolved, he inwardly thinks he would definitely send patients to him for sure. After some time, all the cadets assembled at Motto House Grand Armament for their afternoon group training. Among them, a few cadets noticed Prince Cheon and began whispering about him. One cadet pointed out that he was the heir of the other clan in their group, while another noted that it had already been 2 weeks. Mukiam spotted Prince Cheon and silently acknowledged his arrival, remarking in his thoughts that the peasant-blooded had finally shown up. Im Pyong also noticed his arrival and called out to him. Cheon confirmed his identity, and Impong asked if his body had recovered. Cheon assured him that he was completely healed. Im Pyong expressed his relief, stating that although he had only explained things in theory, it was good that Prince Cheon was doing well. However, he reminded him of his place. Cheon nodded respectfully. Im Pyong handed him a sword and shield, instructing him to move in the same direction as the others. As Cheon passed by Mukiam, the latter taunted him, asking if he had only shown up now because he was afraid. Cheon ignored the remark and walked past him in silence. Mukiam fumed inwardly, feeling insulted by being ignored. Meanwhile, Cheon thought to himself that it was too early for excitement and he'll definitely prove himself. Im Pyong then gathered everyone's attention and announced the commencement of practical training with real swords. He stressed the importance of maintaining proper distance and focus. If an incident similar to the previous one occurred again, he warned, he would expel the responsible cadet with the authority vested in him as a leader. When he asked if they understood, the cadets responded with a unified motto. He then raised a red flag, signaling the beginning of training. As the cadets began their drills, Im Pyong observed Mukiam, noting that despite his arrogant and harsh nature, he managed to command his team effectively like a true clan heir. However, Im Pyong considered Prince Cheon the real concern. He had intentionally placed him in a spot requiring the least movement, hoping he wouldn't make any critical errors. To Im Pyong's surprise, Prince Cheon was performing above expectations. He kept up well with the rest of his group. Im Pyong instructed the cadets to align their shields and maintain formation. He complimented their efforts and told them not to move until his command. 15 minutes later, he scolded the group, reminding them that he had ordered complete stillness. He demanded to know who had made the noise and criticized their inability to follow basic instructions. He questioned how they expected to defeat the other groups in the second test with such sloppy discipline. His gaze shifted to Prince Cheon as he wondered how someone who had supposedly spent all his time in the clinic could perform this well. Im Pyong raised a yellow flag and thought he needed to re-evaluate the boy. He gave a new command: change formation, surround the enemy in a semicircle, advance half a step, and take large strides. Watching their coordinated movements, he commended them with a very good. Meanwhile, Mukiam observed Prince Cheon and grew irritated by his lack of mistakes. He wondered if Prince Cheon really believed he would be allowed to succeed so easily. He contacted Zhao Hyun telepathically, instructing him to nod if he could hear and to follow orders during the third lineup. Zhao Hyun responded that he understood. Im Pyong then ordered another formation change. The cadets were told to stack their shields into 3 layers. Cheon found the task manageable, likely because Nano had already imported the simulation into his system. Im Pyong instructed them to extend their swords through the shield openings, stressing that while caution was important, speed mattered most. Hyun, meanwhile, identified a vulnerable spot in Prince Cheon's formation. He scoffed at the idea that someone of peasant blood should be standing confidently and thought he should be groveling on the ground. He attempted to kick Prince Cheon. However, Cheon sensed the move. Hyun wondered if he had been detected but still resolved to use all his strength. Though he assumed Prince Cheon lacked martial skills, he was wrong. Prince Cheon tapped into his internal energy and effortlessly hurled him away. Mukiam noticed Hyun's rebound and analyzed the force of the throw. Realizing he had been flung off balance, Hyun admitted to himself that Prince Cheon's power was far stronger than his own. Impyung immediately approached and asked if it was Hyun again. Cheon secretly nudged Hyun's ankle, intensifying the pain. When Hyun winced, Cheon chuckled. This infuriated Hyun, who internally fumed at being mocked by a mere peasant. Impyung noticed Hyun grinding his teeth and commented that he still hadn't come to his senses. Hyun blurted out that it wasn't what it looked like his but just hurt. Confused, Impyung repeated the word but and then smacked him, declaring that the boy was completely out of touch. Impyung then revealed that Hyun had been the one who stabbed cadet number 23 in the back during a previous session. He declared that for the next 4 days, until bedtime each day, Hyun would undergo intense training with his leader and wouldn't have a moment's rest. Hyun tried to defend himself, but Impyung cut him off furiously, warning him not to give any more excuses. Hyun responded with a weak motto. Nearby, a cadet whispered that Hyun deserved it. He had been acting arrogant because of Mukiam's backing, and now he was getting what he had coming. Watching it unfold, Mukiam clenched his fists, seething with rage at Prince Cheon.